Hello, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to factoring. First I'm going to talk about a GCF super quickly, and then I'm going to deal with factoring trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1 and then a leading coefficient of something other than that. So I'm looking at this, and the first thing that most people forget to do is make your life easier, and what I mean by that is look to pull something out, reduce it in a sense. It's called taking out a greatest common factor. It is still a form of factoring. So I see that each one of these values, the coefficients, is divisible by 3, so we can factor out a 3. I see that each one of these terms also has a x in it, so we are able to factor out a 3x. And then you're just asking yourself the question, 3x times what will give me this term of 3x cubed? X squared. 3x times what will give me positive 15x squared? That would be a positive 5x. 3x times what gives me 3x, and that is positive 1. Then you will check to see if this is factorable any further, and there are no factors of 1 that combine to give me 5. So you have done the factoring of this type of problem. Don't forget to make your life easier and look for a greatest common factor. Now let's look at some trinomials. First, I will start with x squared plus 8x plus 15. So what we're doing here is we're going to end up with two binomials if this is factorable. The very first value that we're going to get here, our first terms, those are going to be the factors of the first term. So the factors of x squared, the things that multiply together to give me x squared, would be x and x. Okay, now we are looking for the factors of 15, positive 15, that combine to give me positive 8. So if you're not sure what they are, you can list all the factors, and you should start with 1. 1 times 15 gives me 15. 2 times nothing whole. 3 times 5. 4 times nothing whole. And 5 times 3, we already got it, so we have exhausted our list. That is the list of all the possible factors of 15. And which one combines to give me 8? That would be the 3 and the 5. So those are what pop up in the back end right there. Now it's just a matter of filling out your signs. They have to multiply together to give me a positive 15. The only way that that will happen is if you had two positives or if you had two negatives. But when we add those two together, we need to end up with a positive 8. So if you add two negatives together, you will not end up with that positive 8. Therefore, my signs must be positive and positive. And please always check these problems to see if they work. If you want to check the first term, multiply the first terms. X times x, x squared. Yes. If you want to check the last term, multiply the last two terms. 5 times 3 is positive 15. Yes. The one that is overlooked often is the middle term. The way we check the middle term would be with the outside multiplied together, 3x, and the inside multiplied together, 5x. And you combine those two to give us a positive 8x, so this factoring is indeed correct. Let's look at another example. Let's look at x squared plus 3x minus 4. Okay, we have an x squared up front, so the way we're going to get that x squared is by having an x and an x. Now we are looking for the factors of 4 that when we combine them we get 3. So 2 and 2 wouldn't work. We're going to be using the factors 4 and 1. Now it's a matter of getting our signs correct. If you have a negative on the back end, the way that that is going to happen is by having one positive and one negative. When we combine these two, the 4 and the 1, we need to come up with a value of 3, positive 3. So we need to have more positives with the 4 than negatives with the 1. And just to make sure that that is correct, we'll do a fast check. The first term times the first term is x squared. The last term, 4 times negative 1, is indeed that last term. Then we will check the inside. When you multiply those, you get 4x, and the outside, when you multiply those, you get negative x. If you combine 4x and negative x, you indeed get 3x, and you know that your factoring is correct. Let's look at x squared minus 10x plus 16. Give us a little separation there. We are now looking for the factors of positive 16, that when we combine them, we get a negative 10. Okay, so I see the x squared up front, so I know that I'm going to be dealing with an x and an x. Now it is the factors of 16 that give me 10. Well, if you're not sure, you have 1 times 16, 2 times 8. Uh-oh. 3 times, no, 4 times 4. Okay, I'm seeing it right there. 2 and 8 will give me 10 when we combine them. So I get an 8, and I also get a 2. Now let's hope that my signs can work out so we can combine to get a negative 10 in the middle when we add, and a positive 16 on the back end. If I use a negative and a negative, negative 8 times negative 2 is indeed that positive 16 for checking purposes. X times x is x squared. Excellent. Now let's check the inside. Negative 8 times x, negative 8x. And the outside, x times negative 2, negative 2x. Negative 8x and negative 2x indeed give me that middle term of 10x. Your factoring is indeed correct. Now, we're going to take a look at some more factoring problems, slightly different. 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. The slight difference here is that we have a leading coefficient in front of this x squared other than 1. I use a little bit of a trick. It is called backloading. So what I do is I take my first coefficient and I multiply it by the value on the back end. So my resulting problem, x squared minus 7x minus 30. Now we can treat this problem just as we treated these previous 3 problems right here. We are looking for the factors of negative 30 that combine to give us a negative 7x. X and x up front, the factors of 30 that give me 7 would be 10 and 3. We need more negatives in the middle, so I make sure that my larger value is negative and this is positive. The factoring does indeed work. That's negative 30. That is x squared up front. The outside, positive 3x. The inside, negative 10x, and that gives me that. But remember what we did in the beginning. We multiplied by 2. So we need to come through and undo that on the back end. First step, reduce. Then bring out any denominators. This fraction reduces to x minus 5. That is a factor. This does not reduce, so I will slide up this denominator and result in my last factor of 2x plus 3. And you can check that out. You can make sure that that factoring works. X times 2x, 2x squared. The back end, negative 5 times negative 3, negative 15. Now we check the inside, negative 10x. Then you check the outside, positive 3x. You combine those two, you indeed get your middle term. You know this is the correct factoring. Let's look at 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. Let's backload, so I multiply the 3 times the back end of 4. X squared plus 7x plus 12. So now we're looking for the factors of 12 that give me positive 7. Hopefully you're thinking 3 and 4 on this one. X is up front, 3 and 4, and I see I need a positive 7. The way that that is going to happen is with 2 positives. If you check out the inside and the outside, we indeed get that 7x. Remember, I multiplied by 3 in the beginning, so now I need to undo that, so I will divide by 3 on the back end. Reduce, and then bring out denominators. My first factor, x plus 1 when I reduce it. My second, I slide up my denominator in front of that x, 3x plus 4. Let's do a quick check. X times 3x, 3x squared. 1 times 4, positive 4. Let's check the outside, 4x, and let's check the inside, 3x. When we combine those, they definitely give us my value of 7x right there. Okay, we'll do one more of these, just for fun, because I know it is really, really fun. A little separation right there. 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. So backload, so multiply the front times the back end. X squared plus 10x minus 24. We are looking for the factors of negative 24 that combine to give me a positive 10. X and x. Okay, what about a 12 and a 2? I have more positives in the middle, so my larger value will need to be positive. We can check it real fast. Yes, yes, the back end is negative 24, the outside negative 2, the inside positive 12. That definitely works. Don't forget though, we multiplied by 8 in the beginning. We need to undo that, so we divide by 8. Now, first step is to reduce. So I can take this fraction, and I'm looking at them. 4 goes into both of these. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 8 2 times. Over here, this fraction reduces to 1/4. So we have reduced. Now we bring up these denominators up front. 2x plus 3 and 4x minus 1. And then you do a quick check. 2x times 4x, 8x squared. 3 times negative 1, negative 3. Now let's check the outside. 2x times negative 1, negative 2x. And let's check the inside. 3 times 4x, 12x. When we combine those two together, we definitely get our 10x. You know that you have done this correctly. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a nice day.